In this example, the Red Fox Studio reference for the Grumman F-14 Tomcat was used, along with the TAMIYA F-14D Tomcat kit. With each set, you will find the instructions and the necessary parts to detail the cockpit in highly realistic 3D acrylic resin. Thanks to the transparent package, you can see the final product at the time of purchase. Inside the set, you will find the instructions divided into different sections. In the first section, the areas marked in blue correspond to the plastic that must be removed from the model. The next step shows where to glue each piece from the set. Because this aircraft is a two-seater, this step is divided in two. The pieces are glued on waxed paper. You will see how to remove them later in the process. The level of detail is fantastic. You can clearly see each of the accurate details present on the lifelike instruments. Begin by separating the pieces from the sprue with cutting pliers. Using the 120 grit sandpaper from the tapered sanding sticks set, the plastic remnants were removed. Once all of the pieces are free and clean, they are prepared for the replacement pieces from the Red Fox set. The next step was to assemble the areas of the cockpit that will not feature any Red Fox details. As usual, extra thin cement was used to glue all of the plastic parts of the cockpit. Work began with the piece N24, which indicates that the surface must be sanded completely. The 240 grit sandpaper from the tapered sanding sticks set was used to remove all the details from the plastic. This prepares the surface for the assembly with the Red Fox parts. In some cases, you will find complicated areas like this one, where working with sandpaper becomes difficult. For areas such as these, a blade is used to remove the plastic details. The piece is cleaned and ready for assembly. Some subjects feature large details, so it will be faster and easier to remove them with a blade instead of sanding. It is important to check for proper fit of the pieces as they are being sanded. In this image, you can see the work completed on each piece. Using extra thin cement, the pieces were fixed to the cockpit and the glue applied by capillary action. The rest of the pieces were painted separately. To work with the loose pieces, double-sided soft tape was used. All elements were primed with one-shot primer, airbrushed in thin layers to cover all of the recessed areas and surfaces. The loose pieces were also primed. The color FS36314 was used for the base color, which is very similar to the Red Fox pieces. Always airbrush in thin layers to avoid flooding the surface. Soft highlights were applied by adding a couple of drops of matte white. To make shadows, medium gunship gray was diluted by 50% with transparator. The sides were then painted with this mixture. To imitate dirt, vertical strokes were applied. For the washes, the Panaline Wash Black Night was applied. The Panaline Wash was deposited directly from the bottle into each and every detail. Using enamel odorless thinner and a brush, the excess product was removed, leaving the finest possible outline. The volume of each piece was then highlighted using diode dry brush color light gray. While working on the piece, you can see how easy it is to create volume and emphasize details. Once the pieces were ready, assembly of the Red Fox set began. In this case, with piece N8. Peeling off the Red Fox pieces is very easy. Simply fold the wax paper slightly and remove with tweezers. Before applying glue, be sure that the fit is correct. Ultra glue from Ammo is ideal for assembling Red Fox acrylic resin. Using a brush, a good amount of product was applied on the plastic and the 3D piece placed using tweezers. The piece was adjusted slightly and left to dry. Each piece of the set was assembled using the same steps. Here you can see the cockpit with all of the pieces glued in place. The same process was used to glue the dials and screens to the different instrument panels. The result with the finished pieces in place is very realistic. As you can see, the exact scale replica accurately represents the complexity of a real cockpit. Finally, the Red Fox parts were added to the side panels that were addressed separately. Again, the panel line wash Black Knight was used to apply a very soft wash to the acrylic resin pieces and integrate them into the cockpit. Using the same brush moistened with enamel odorless thinner, the washes were blended. To paint the details of the plastic parts, a Marta Kalinsky Premium Brush No. 1 was used, alongside reference photos of the real aircraft. With outlining black, the base of the consoles and other instruments represented in kit plastic were painted. Next, the color bluish-gray was applied to give volume to the parts. The edges of all the details previously painted in black were outlined. This color was also used to imitate scratches and chips in specific areas of the cockpit. The Red Fox sets can also be painted in order to imitate damage and wear. The chips and scratches were applied to the most exposed areas, which suffer the most wear and tear due to crew movement. The color mid-gray was used to paint the buttons. For the firing buttons, pure red was used. As you can see, by using the Red Fox reference, many hours of work were saved while obtaining an unmatched level of realism. Detailing the cockpit continued with painting the fabrics on the sides of the consoles. 3 colors were used: dark olive green, yellow green, and field gray shadow. As a base color, dark olive green was applied both within the cockpit and on the single pieces. For the shadows, field gray shadow was applied. The shadows were applied highly diluted, only depositing the color in the folds of the fabric. Before it dries completely, the highlights were applied with yellow-green. The side panels were finished in the same way. Using the color medium gunship gray. The brush was wetted and the hairs separated by pressing it on a piece of paper. The color was then stippled onto the areas where the pilot's boots rest, as well as the pedals. The same process was repeated using the color aluminum. Using the pigment color airfield dust, a light dusting was applied to both sides. The pigment must be deposited to the areas where dust accumulates the most. This also serves to integrate and reduce the contrast of the chipping. The same process was repeated on the side panels. As you can see, the final result is a striking scale replica of the real cockpit. Created easily while saving you many hours of work.